Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Dublin. I'm back for another Eurovision reaction video. Today I'm going to be giving you my analysis of the semi-final allocation draw. With 15 countries in semi-final number 1 and 16 in semi-final number 2. I'm going to tell you who I think the winners and the losers are. So let's kiki. So the semi-final allocation happened a couple of weeks ago, but I've been so busy doing national final reviews that I don't have a chance to do it now. Draw happened, it was with AJ Dodo and Rylan, who I thought were absolutely amazing hosts. Really charming, funny. We tend to get these like quite robotic hosts in Eurovision with almost like their personality has been sucked out of them. I thought AJ and Rylan together were really great. They had great chemistry. There was no downtime. They cut out all the like boring stuff where mayors say, oh yeah, great, thanks. All the kind of usual crap is like slightly meaningless. They kind of took the semi-final allocation, which is usually this kind of like long drawn out process, and they just made it like real fun and snappy. Confirmed what I expected, that BBC is going to do a really, really great show this year. It also confirmed for me that the best host on the main stage will be AJ and Rylan, not demoted down to the green room. They are fantastic hosts. Rylan is a super fan. He's always been a fan of Eurovision. He follows it. I had a comment about the Maltese national final, and he commented about that. Just shows that he's like even involved in Maltese national final. He knew what was going on. He's a super fan. Let's go to the allocation draw. In case you don't know, this year it is a televote only. So because of the voting scandal that happened last year, EBU are trialing a year with no juries in the semi-finals, so no naughtiness can happen. It'll be a naughty-free semi. Now that emphasizes even further a couple of things. First of all, running order is going to be more important. Being in the second half normally gives you an extra 10% chance of qualification with juries. If you just go by televote alone, I haven't worked out the stats, but I'm going to estimate it's going to give you around 15 to 20% extra chance on average over someone who's in the first half. So that's going to be really, really vital this year. Also, we know that there are certain countries who tend to vote for each other because of like cultural and ethnic connections. That also is going to be more important. So countries like Poland, Lithuania have diasporas. We've seen historically that they do tend to get a big support from their diaspora. And then we have the obvious connections like Cyprus and Greece. So let's go through those quickly. Cyprus and Greece are together in semi-final number 2. So that is 12 points automatically for the two of them, which is a nice head start. We know the artists, but we don't know what the songs are yet. They haven't been released. So that's an important thing for those two countries. In terms of the Balkans, in semi-final 1, we have Croatia and Serbia together. And in semi-final 2, we have Albania and again Greece. So Greece off to a pretty nice head start. Belgium and Netherlands are separated. Moldova and Romania are separated. Switzerland and Austria are separated. Now Switzerland and Austria is not a very like definite one, but they do have a German speaking overlap. And on the flip side, Armenia and Azerbaijan are separated, and that is actually a little bit relevant as well because they are two countries who will never, ever, ever give each other points. If they were in the same semi, that would be a disadvantage for both of them, that they would have one less source of points, but they are separated, so they don't need to worry about that. So that's a little bit of luck for them. If we look at the big three countries, France, Germany, and Italy are voting in semi-final number 1. So Italy is in a separate semi from San Marino. Germany is in the same semi as Switzerland, but in a different one from Austria. So actually, quite a lot of the typical voting buddies are separated, like really other than Greece and Cyprus. That's pretty much the only one who've been paired in the same semi. Now, I know I said about Croatia and Serbia, but that pot has got 6 people in it. So you have to have someone. It's kind of inevitable. But in terms of like these voting pairs, all these voting pairs have been split. In semi-final number 2, we have Spain, Ukraine, and the UK voting. Now, UK is in semi-2, Ireland is in semi-1. So Ireland and UK have been split, but Australia and UK are together. So that's good news for Australia. They have UK voting in their semi-final. That is definitely going to help them. We know that Australia struggles with the televote, so that extra bit of assistance is really, really, really important for them. And Spain and Portugal have been split. Spain are voting in semi-final number 2, but Portugal are in semi-final number 1. So yes, it's kind of funny that in a year where televoting is vital, all these voting buddies have been separated other than Cyprus and Greece. And Cyprus and Greece is probably the most famous voting buddy, even way back in the days with Terry Wogan. That's the one that he would go on about the most. And everyone knows when Greece and Cyprus used to announce their 12s, that's what was coming. In terms of the Nordics, again, the pod is kind of 4 or 5 countries, so there are always going to be at least 2 of them together. In the first semi, we have Sweden and Norway together. And in the second semi-final, we have Estonia, Finland, and Iceland. Let's look at semi-final number 1. So first thing to notice about semi-final 1 is has one less country. So there's only 15 countries, 10 of them going through. So 66% of the countries are going to be qualifying. Now that's much higher than the normal number, which is roughly around 57% of countries qualify from the semi. If you group all of the years together. So already everyone has a 10% extra chance. So that's kind of nice. If you're in the second half of the semi-final, you have an extra 10% for being in the second half. You got an extra 10% for being in a smaller semi-final, and you've got an extra 10% from there being no jury. So if you're in the second half, you already have an approximate estimated 25 to 35% extra bump. So that's pretty delicious in semi-final number 1. Now, that doesn't guarantee that anyone's going through. Of course, if you send something that's absolutely and utterly crap, it doesn't matter how much of a percentage buffer you get. But there's no doubt in denying that viewing numbers go up more as the semi-final goes through. The more people look at your song, the more potential votes that you have, and that's going to be really, really vital this year. This is something I've always felt that the EBU should account for. I feel like when they show the recaps for the earlier songs should be longer, and the recaps for the later songs should be shorter. It would just be like a small thing to help along the earlier song. The juries are there to help earlier songs that people just weren't there for. I always remember when the last couple of years when I've been watching Eurovision on YouTube, the live stream on YouTube, how you can see how many people are viewing, and just watching that number go up as the semi-finals and final went on, it was very noticeable, and I'm sure some people are going to dispute that. It's just common sense that people are just going to show up late, they're going to miss the start. Anyone who, for example, tunes in and watches the first 4 or 5 songs and then says, I'm done, I don't want to watch this anymore, and they switch out, those people aren't going to vote, whereas people who switch on for the last 10 songs and say for the end of voting are going to vote. So there's always going to be bias towards the end of the show. Okay, so here's a tweet that I tweeted just before the allocation draw. It is everybody's qualification streak. Now, obviously that's not a perfect metric of who's going to qualify, but at this point in time where we don't have that many songs, it is kind of one of the pieces of information that we can use in terms of seeing who are the big threats. So as we know, Ukraine are joint hosting this year, so because of that, they're automatically through. But we look at the people who are next to them in that streak. So Sweden with 9, Netherlands with 5, Norway with 5, and Serbia with 4. So the top 4 streak countries, they're all in semi-final number 1. So that is why people, including me, are saying that semi-final 1 is the more difficult semi-final, because there's no reason to expect that those 4 countries are suddenly going to become shit. They have built up these streaks from constantly sending quality songs, and there's no reason to suspect that they're suddenly going to stop doing that. We already know Norway's sending something very good. There are good songs on the Serbian national final. The Netherlands are doing the internal selection. We're guessing it'll be decent, and then Sweden, we're imagining, will probably send, it'll probably be Lorraine. So those are 4 spots in the first semi-final, pretty much already gone. We look at the countries with streaks of 3, Azerbaijan, Greece, Iceland, and Switzerland. 2 of them are in semi-final number 1, that's Azerbaijan and Switzerland. Now, I have to admit, I don't know if I really consider Switzerland a big threat. I think they've done well with this new system they have where they internally select a song. They have like a demoscopic jury, I think, and they have some professional juries, and then they like keep whittling it down. It's worked for them the last 3 years with Luca Hani and then John's Tears, and then last year. So we've had 3 solo boys with them. Absolutely no idea what they're sending whatsoever this year. So I don't know if I would really consider them like someone who's taken a place. But yeah, they do have that streaks. They are starting to show a tendency that they know what they're doing. Azerbaijan, I don't know if I would consider them as much of a threat because they rely on juries, and there's no Turkey anymore because Turkey withdrew a long time ago at this point. I think their last show was 2012. So Turkey was someone who would give them definite 12. But yeah, they don't really have as many buddies anymore. And then obviously their closest neighbor is Armenia. That's still potentially 6 spots which are quote unquote gone. Plus we know that Finland have an amazing song this year. Israel have got a top superstar performing for them, and she's in the second half as well. So you'd almost think as well that's another spot probably gone. Keeping in mind as well, Switzerland and Azerbaijan, those 2 potential risks are both in the second half. It's just looking like a little bit of carnage. Even Malta, who we had a very weak national final this year, have chosen a good song. The only person I'm looking at now and saying has got almost no hope is Ireland. Everyone else, Croatia's got a bit of a wild card now with Let 3. They've got this real wild show that's definitely going to appeal to a large demographic in the televote. Plus they've got Serbia. Latvia's got this, I still think Latvia are kind of borderline no, but there's a lot of support now for this song, this very heartfelt indie feel. So who knows if they can elevate. That's not something we'd associate with Latvia, but still, even the people who tend to do bad, like Latvia on their 5 non-qualification streak, Croatia on their 4 non-qualification streak. Even those countries now are kind of putting forward entries which have a shot. So this first semi-final is absolute and pure carnage. Czech Republic as well have got a song that is it's 5th in the odds to win. So that's another spot gone. So if we take those 6 people with good records and we add in Finland and Israel. Keeping in mind, Israel had a 6 qualification streak before last year. And then we put in Czech Republic. We're at the point then where we've got 1 spot left for Malta or Latvia or Ireland or Croatia. And you have to expect Croatia's probably going to be a favourite. Moldova as well do really, really well with the televote. They really are able to tap into kind of that fun feel. So this is just, it's just, I have to admit now, if I had to cut someone from this 9, I'd probably cut Switzerland. I'd say I don't feel like they've taken an absolute spot. Portugal on a great streak as well. They've won the top 10 last year and 12th the year before. This first semi-final, definitely we're going to be seeing some big hitters, some fan favourites go, and I think there's going to be a lot of uproar if one of the people who gets kicked out is someone who the jury would have put through. My God. One thing I say about Ireland is in 2018 they were in the death semi and they made it through, also without UK and Australia, but that sound was much better. I think you're going to have a hard time convincing a lot of people that Together and We Are One are on a similar level. I think Ireland's definitely not dead, but on life support. Semi-final number 2 now does look a little bit easier. We have some entries that are considered a little bit weaker. We have Belgium, Gustav, which I still think is an upbeat bop, again, which will appeal to the televote. Riley as well. There's less obvious people grabbing spots there. The best qualification streak is 3. We have 2 threes from Greece and Iceland, although Iceland last year came 10th, so it's not like they absolutely romped it. Both of those are in the first half. This semi-final for me, the headline is, this is wide open. This is an excellent opportunity for countries whose qualification records are not fantastic or are on bad streaks right now to turn that around. Some of the bad streaks, we have Romania, who just ended a 3 non-qualification streak. They qualified last year, but before there were 3 non-qualifiers. Albania has been kind of on and off recently. Australia, they are going to have to be very strategic this year in what they send. They are in the second half. They do have the UK. They don't have Ireland. So they have most things working for them, but this is their chance to show that they can put forward something that does well with the televote. Kate Malahide actually did well with the televote, but probably not as much as I expected. But generally, the Australian televote does suffer a lot. Another country looking to turn things around is Georgia, who, like Latvia, are on a 5 non-qualification streak. Just so you know as well, Montenegro are also on a 5 non-qualification streak, but they withdrew this year. They had a really great entry in Junior Eurovision. Mariam Bigvava, really fantastic, came 3rd. I felt that song should have been taken and kept for Adult Eurovision. It was that good. Having said that, one of the girls who wrote it, Iru Kechanovi, I'm saying her name wrong, she is our artist this year. So she helped write that fantastic song and she's performed this year and she's got a great voice. So really, really fingers crossed for her. She was in Junior Eurovision, I think. Yeah, she was part of Candy Music and won Junior Eurovision in 2011. So really, I definitely feel like this is an amazing opportunity for Georgia to totally seize this. They've got a great artist who we know can write songs. They're in the second half of a weaker semi-final. This is definitely their chance to break that 5 non-qualification streak. Cyprus were on a 6 qualification streak, but then they broke that last year. So they are, I still think that they should be considered very smart and clever in knowing how to qualify. Plus they've got Greece, as I mentioned earlier. Armenia are on a hot streak as well. They're in the first half, but they had arguably the most successful song last year with Snap, which just reached 500 million streams on Spotify. Plus, in between that, they won Junior Eurovision and came 2nd in Junior Eurovision. So they are in a hot streak right now. They've already picked their artist. She's called Brunette. I don't know anything about her, but at this point in time, I'm thinking that they're going to send something decent. Plus, they don't need to worry about getting 0 from Azerbaijan. Romania's a little bit of a wild card. At this point in time, he really sticks out for being kind of like an indie raw male vocalist, very young, with a fantastic stage. I suppose actually joke out, they overlap a little bit, although Romania seems a little bit rough around the edges. Slovenia are definitely in a great spot. They're in the second half. They've got a really, really professional band, which very much is going to fit in with the theme of the contest this year being Liverpool. So I think they've got a fantastic opportunity as well there. They're going through a weird pattern right now where they're not qualifying 2 years and then qualifying 2 years and then not qualifying. They've done that for the last 10 years. If the pattern continues, they're going to qualify again this year and next year. And we don't really know anything about San Marino at all. We know that they don't have Italy. They're going to start their national final now. Auditions are opening after Sanremo. What a convenient time to start your open auditions. I would love it again if they took another artist from Sanremo. I think that's an excellent and economical idea. And then finally, Lithuania and Poland. Again, these are the countries I mentioned earlier have big diaspora. I think that diaspora plus them being in the second half We don't know any of the Polish songs yet. They're being released later this week, but I have heard that they have got some decent stuff this year, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to be a qualifier favourite. Lithuania, second half with the diaspora, I still think they've got a fighting chance. That is what I took away from the semi-final allocation draw that happened on January 31st. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. See you in another reaction reaction video very soon. Goodbye. Blah, blah, blah.